Hello dear polymer clay enthusiast, I'm Mihaela from Learn Polymer Clay, and in today's tutorial I want to inspire you to make beautiful Art Deco, faux Art Deco earrings with very vibrant patterns. So in order to make such beautiful and eye-catching designs, we are going to use black polymer clay that I have of course previously conditioned and that I passed through the setting number 2 of my Atlas pasta machine, and I am going to use again nail art foils to decorate this sheet of polymer clay. So in fact I have a larger nail art foil, but I only want to use some of the colors, meaning I want to work with a gradient from pink to blue, pink, purple, blue, and I am just going to place these nail art foils on top of the polymer clay. I will use my fingers to burnish them into the polymer clay, and then again I am using my fingers to rub the nail art foils, the nail art transfer into the polymer clay. And then I'm going to use my craft knife, lift the corner of the nail art foil, and after checking if I like the way the foil transferred, then I will just lift off the foil. And in this case I noticed that I had a lot of areas that were not decorated with the foil, so I'm just using the scraps from this project, and I'm decorating these areas as well. And then I have prepared a second sheet of polymer clay passed through the same setting of the pasta machine, and then I put this sheet of polymer clay on top of wavy texture, and I put them together through the largest setting of my Atlas pasta machine that I am going to use to make the back. Then I used parchment paper to press these sheets of polymer clay together, and I am going to use cling film before using a larger round cutter to cut out the piece. In fact, after removing the cling film I will cut again, because you might not get a very good cutting when cutting through the cling film, but you will get a very beautiful shape, domed like shape for your pendant. And of course, as usual, you will have to smooth off the edges and make sure that you have a nice looking piece. And normally I would prefer not to have to sand my pieces after baking them, so I'm taking the time to smooth off the edges before baking my pieces. So because I'm making earrings, I cut the piece of polymer clay in half, and then I'm doing my best to have two pieces that are similar in size. And I'm going to use beautiful oval metal components in a gold color, but a matte gold color, which is in my opinion very elegant. And I will place each component in the middle of the bead. I decided to trim a little bit the second bead, placing the metallic components in the center of the bead, and then I used an acrylic block to press them into the clay, and I am going to remove the clay inside the oval component while I'm using the thumb of my left hand to keep this metal element in place while I'm trim off the excess clay. And of course you'll have to clean these areas and smooth off the edges. This is a design and a shape that I particularly like, and it has an Art Deco feeling for me. So again, I'm making sure that I have a nice edges. And in order to spice up a little bit this design, I am going to apply just a little bit of black wow embossing powder, but just a little bit. Using the blade of my craft knife, I'm sprinkling a little bit of black wow embossing powder, but just a little bit, because I just like these pieces as they are. And then when you are happy with the look of your pieces, you can put them in the oven and bake them for 45 minutes in the preheated oven. I usually put an aluminum disposable baking pan on top of my pieces to protect them from direct heat, and I will do this for the nail art transfer pieces as well. Then I applied a layer of UV resin using a brush, and I've also applied some resin on the margin on the margins of the piece, because I want to have nice looking edges as well. And then I used a UV pocket lamp to cure the margins and to cure the front of the piece as well, because I want to make sure that I cured the margins well. And then I'm going to use the larger nail art lamp to cure. And then I decided to add a little bit more interest to the design, and I'm going to use thin 24 gauge gold color wire and 4mm Swarovski bicones in light pink color. And I've just wrapped a little bit the wire around the base on one side, and then I've put a bicone bead, and then I wrapped the wire 2 times around the metal component, and then I added the second bead and I wrapped the wire 2 times, and the third bicone bead I wrapped the wire around the base 5 times, and I used my pliers to tuck in the end. So thank you for watching the tutorial. I hope that you liked the project, and stay tuned for more inspiration for your work with polymer clay.